Hey everyone, welcome back to Chime Your River. I'm your host Shane Lamba, and today we're going to do a really fun episode. I thought, let me bring some joy, let me bring some fun into the podcast universe. And we're going to talk about Halloween. Specifically, we're going to talk about Halloween, gay Halloween, queer Halloween, Halloween. You might be wondering, Shane, Halloween just happened. She was yesterday. She was a couple of days ago. But what you don't know is, I don't really care. I will talk about things whenever I see fit, because again, this is my show. A show. Never called it that before. This is my podcast, my show. And also I feel like when you're like a regular bitch like me, or you're a regular person, us regular folks, if you're a regular folk, drop a comment in the comment section letting me know you're regular. You get to reflect post-Halloween. We're going to reflect about the ghouls, the goblins, the gremlins, the gays, the boys, because there were a lot of them. There were a lot, and a lot of them pissed me off. And I feel like the people that listen to this podcast, they also get pissed off. They also allow themselves to get pissed off, to be pissed off, and to stay pissed off, okay? We're also going to take a moment to reflect on my costume. Mr. Shane Lamba, hot Chimey River wrestler here. I obviously didn't wear this costume, but I am sitting here 2 cheeks and 8 inches down. So, better appreciate that. And I'm telling you what's going to piss me off. And I'm telling you that there's a lot of things. So, if you haven't had a little dose of chai, I actually have a little bit left here. So it's not like a fake cup. I have a little bit left here. Go grab a coffee, a water, a soda, a piece of candy if you got any from Halloween. I'm still pissed off that I didn't get any. And we're going to get into it. So we're going to get into Halloween ghouls, the things that piss me off, and a little bit about pop culture. Some recent things that have happened in, I feel like, pop culture. Maybe a little bit of music that's a little spooky and creepy. And we're just going to give our perspectives. And by we, I mean I, because, he, she, they, we, he. I will be giving my perspective. So grab your coffee, grab your bevy, grab a drink. It is pretty afternoony today. And let's get into it. So let's get into it. I want to really start with a new kind of segment, or a kind of a amalgamation, and really just a synthesis of other things that I've really done in the past, like my hot chai hot takes, my what pisses me off, this thing, yada yada yada, am I talking my shit, all that. And I'm going to make this segment called, what really pisses me off? So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you all as well during this segment, which I'm hoping to grow a little bit more, about what really pisses you off, and see if I also feel that way about it. So feel free to send me a DM, an email, a message on Chime Your River on Instagram, on TikTok, as well as via the Spotify and Apple pages. You can find me at Chimey River as my handle, or chai.me.ariver, all available on wherever you stream podcasts. But we're going to get back into this segment. What really pisses me off? The first one, and I feel like this will resonate with a lot of people. When people post their boyfriends, their significant others, their partners, and cover their faces. I'm looking at you because I know that you're probably one bitch to do it. Why are you posting them? Why are you posting your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your significant other? And I'm going to remove the girlfriend part because nobody has girlfriends these days. But I'm really going to be focused in and zoning in on the gay boys. I don't know about the queer boys. I feel like the queer boys usually know who is dating who. The bisexuals, we'll get to that in another section because we have our own issues. But the gay boys, they do this a lot. You'll go on Instagram. I don't even have my phone. Well, I mean, I have my phone. It's recording. I don't have my other phone because, I have two phones because I'm a businessman. You'll go on Instagram and you'll look and you'll be like, oh, wow, this person has a partner. Or they're posting like a little side profile, a little half a face. Bitch, why are you posting a man, first of all? That's really sad. Why are you posting a man on your social media if you're not going to show me the fucking face? Okay? Why are you on social media if you're not actually trying to be social? Okay? That's the real problem nowadays. People don't really understand. The point of social media is to show your life, show aspects of things that you like, whether it's your hobbies, your content, your creations, your artistry, right? A lot of the drag artists, like all that stuff. And then it's like to show half a face. Did you give birth to this man? Are you doing that thing that women do when they have their newborn, especially in the Indian culture? They don't show their kids for like fucking a whole year, and then they show their baby, and then, sorry to say, the baby's ugly. You're not saving anybody's bad wishes by showing the baby beforehand. They were probably cuter before you showed them post 1 year. But let me give you my 2 cents of what pisses me off. Usually there's only one of two things. One, they're ugly, and two, you're embarrassed because they're ugly. They have baggage, or they're not out. Now that's even a bigger problem. Okay? If you're dating a man, first of all, disgusting. If you're dating a man in 2025 and they're not out, what the fuck are you doing? You might as well buy a fucking doll. I don't even have a doll anywhere. You might as well buy a hat and make that hat your best friend, because a lot of y'all bitches have those hats as best friends anyway, on your head all the time. A lot of y'all bitches like those men with the hats on their heads all the time, because it's giving you the facade, it's giving you the fantasy, it's giving you the fantasy girl, it's giving you the fantasy that that person's your dad, that person's a cousin, some relative or something. I don't know. You only have one flavor that you like, vanilla. Come on, mama. Yeah. If they're not out in 2025, get the fuck out. Why are you even gay? What's the flag doing to you, bitch? Why are you even gay? So that really pisses me off. That's my first little, do you know what really pisses me off? That, okay? Saw a lot of that. Especially now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in Halloween, because I'm a tire. But the real problem is, I saw those bitches online, because obviously I'm a nosy cunt. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, so-and-so might have a boyfriend, or so-and-so might have a partner. 2 weeks ago, or last week, I was at an event in Hollywood, or West Hollywood, or whatever, or LA, and it was a Halloween event. It was actually the Boulay Brothers Halloween event. I don't know if anyone went to the Boulay Brothers Halloween party, but they were performing a ton of Dragula performers, as well as Trixie. She was DJing. Really fun event. Check out some of the posts that I made from on my TikTok or Instagram of that event. It was really fun. I'm really glad I went with my partner. And we went, and I saw a lot of people that I follow online on this wonderful social media. And I saw that they were with their significant other, or their little boo thing, their little spooky dooky thing. Mama, why the fuck were they wearing a mask? Why was you out here with your cheeks out, with your shirts off, with your nipples hard and erect, and this man was wearing the ghost face mask? He was all painted up in a clown. Now, I know my boyfriend had a clown. That was his clown outfit. I'm not talking about him, but a lot of these bitches this year were dressed up as clowns. I guess you do dress up as you are. It is Halloween. The true colors from within come out. Come out, okay? So it's like, why are you doing that? Like, you know that they're ugly. You know that they're not attractive, and you're still posting them. Come on. And I don't buy this. I want to be private. I like, I just don't want other people to, like, know my man. Baby, he's not your man, okay? First of all, if you're not showing his face, that man is getting dug out in the Motel 6 on Hollywood Boulevard, okay? That man is getting his shit rocked at Santiago Creek Trail in Santa Ana at midnight, okay? That man is still on Sniffy Diffy Doopers finding his #1 combo meal, okay? Big cock. That's what he's looking for. He is not your man. He's not your man until you show his face. And also until you invite some critique, some comment from your friends. How do we know what's good for you if you never tell us about who you're dating? And then 3 months later, you say, this man broke my heart. Well, duh, bitch. You're not showing us, you're not inviting that partner into your life. And part of your life is talking and spending time and making memories with your friends, your family, your loved ones, right? So if you can't even do that basic tenet of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then of course you're going to be upset with so-and-so man that you met online. And there's no shade to meeting men online. No shade, right? I mean, everyone does it. It's just, you can't say that you're upset that this man treated you wrong if you never gave your friends opportunity to learn about who that person was, learn about who they are, and learn about what makes you happy with them, right? Again, I may be saying, what really pisses me off segment, but I'm going to come back and give some of my 2 cents because I've lived a good life. I've lived a good life. Okay. Number 2, I don't really know the term for this, but I'm going to call it, I think it's called peacocking. Or we'll just call it cocking, okay? We're going to call it cocking. So just not too long ago, like less than 24 hours ago, and this happens a lot. It's not like just a new instance that happened. And I'm sure a lot of people have had this happen to them as well. I was just at the mall with my boyfriend. And you know what's really annoying and what pisses me off is when you meet or clock, I guess, right? Other gay, bisexual, queer men with maybe like their gay friends, their straight acting gay friends, or their, female girlfriends. And I'm saying female because like that's the terms like those types of guys would use, the ones who still like hate themselves. I would obviously use a woman. I don't really like using the word female when I'm talking about people. In research and other types of things, you might talk about female and male when it comes to like sex. But again, that's sex, that's not gender. But anyway, aside from that, I hate when you see and when we clock these guys. We were actually in Gap at the mall, and we were walking around and we saw this one muscular, strong man. He was wearing like his little, it's my opportunity to like raise my arms, right? I'm like, we saw this little strong man. And I say little because, he was like of short stature, and usually they are when they're like all muscly dustly. And, he was like, just like chilling with his little friend who's a girl. And then when he saw us, who me and my boyfriend were clearly holding hands, he like ejected his chest forward, pushed his shoulders back, and like walked like he's freaking a big ass himbo. Baby, you're 5'4", you're not a himbo. No, I'm sorry, you're not a himbo. You can't be a himbo. Like, you can't be a himbo if you're not tall enough to go on the roller coaster at Disneyland. You're not. I'm sorry. But it's always like that. And this is not the only time. It happens when you're out and about at the museums. When we went to museums, we were at the Getty Center for the Queer Art Museum, and this still happened in the Queer Art Museum exhibit. What the fuck? Like, just be gay. Like, we all know you're gay. Like, no straight guy is going to wear booty shorts that are like 5-inch inseams, because honestly, the queer men, the gay men did that first. The straight guys are just doing it because they know it's in style. And, who loves to copy off of queer people? The straights, right? Also, straight men are not like plucked and primmed and, manicured all up. So if your face is beat, mama, like, and not with makeup, nothing wrong with wearing makeup, but just like if your face is all beat up, like, you're like stretched out, your shit's all juvedermed out, you're an FAG. Like, you can't, that pisses me off. It's like, stop making this facade. Stop doing like oh, I'm a man, ha ha ha, ha ha ha, I also like dick, ha 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 ha. We get it, you're gay. Just be gay. Like, don't have to hide around it. Also, at a mall where we were at in Southern California, you shouldn't feel afraid to be yourself. Like, this is a very progressive area, right? And yes, there's going to be haters everywhere. There always are. There always are haters in the community, just like myself. But they are going to be there, and you just have to figure out how to navigate it, right? So that's one thing that really pisses me off. Also, what really fucking pisses me off, and this is kind of just an extension of what happened at the mall yesterday, Barnes and Noble. People in Barnes and Nobles. Okay? I love a good bookstore. I love reading. Who doesn't? Well, most of the world doesn't. But why are there people, so many people, in a Barnes and Noble, and yet so many people are dumb as fuck? Why? What are you in the Barnes and Noble for if you're actually not buying a book and actually learning the stuff that you're reading? Okay? Hello? Why are you in the Barnes and Noble, bitch? Why are these bitches dumb when they're in the Barnes and Noble, apparently, supposedly, buying books? Don't do that to me. Don't. Mm-mm. No. I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like you. Get out of the bookstore if you're not going to be actually buying a book and you're actually not going to be reading. Instead, let me give you a suggestion. Okay. Instead, go to the library. Go to a public library. Go get a library card, right? Give the government an idea of like how many people are actually going to use the library so they can continue giving money, because obviously we know that that's a hot debate. Obviously, like, what government, right? Who's working nowadays? Again, nobody wants to work. Like, nobody wants to fucking work. You know what also really pisses me off? The fact that food and housing has become a controversial topic, right? Everyone deserves access to healthy food. Children deserve access to healthy food. And families that are experiencing so many social and economic issues that prevent them from having stable jobs and having strong income deserve and should be given the liberty and the humanity of being on a government assistance program. Why are we trivializing and making something out about government assistance that it doesn't have to be as such? Rich people get government assistance every single day with tax cuts, bonuses, money laundering, trafficking, all these really horrendous things that they actually do. And they're getting assisted by the government that is giving them either a tax break or, you know, nowadays anything fucking goes in this world. They'll just brush it under the rug. It's just under there. So, SNAP is under threat, right? We know that. Most government assistance programs, most things, and SNAP, for those who don't know, is a supplemental nutrition assistance program, otherwise known as food stamps, right? We call it the food stamp program. A lot of the times the SNAP recipients are actually children and women and infants, right? There's another subsidiary program called WIC, which is called Women, Infants, Children, right? Getting some money for that, right? And I think I saw some statistic, and I should probably really know this, but on average, it's like about $187 a month for a person or something, right? Who is experiencing like no income to low income. $187 a month. $187 a month. People are coming at these people who are experiencing such a low part of their life for $187 a month. Isn't like the richest person having like $1 trillion or more than that and like paid like $1 in income tax? Why did I pay almost $14,000-$15,000 in income tax when the trillionaire is only paying $1? Huh? Because again, we are, and I say this so many times throughout my podcast, throughout my show, we are more alike than we are different. It is just 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 white men up in some room that are telling us that we are different from each other. Yes, our skins may be brown, caramel, dark chocolate, black, but we are all more alike than we're different. And I really, really want people who are listening, I really want people who might be listening and not feeling like they're feeling heard or seen, just to realize that I'm with you, I support you, and I want there to be equity. I want there to be access to all these things, because we can't live our society if we don't help each other, right? And that's maybe something I learned in my own culture, again, bringing it back to like being Indian, bringing it back to being brown. But like in my family growing up, I was always told by my parents and my family, that you really, when you help somebody else, God or whatever spiritual faith is going to give you 100 times more in different ways, right? So it may not be I give somebody $10 to eat lunch one day that they're going to give me $20 back, right? But it's the opportunities, right? And I think that's where we really lack our understanding nowadays as a society, that we don't know how to be altruistic. We don't know how to support one another, be there for one another, because we're pitting ourselves against each other, right? And when we saw that, the way people voted, you know what also really fucking pisses me off? Brown people that voted against their own interests. Yeah, that really fucking pisses me off, because you did not get here without any consequence, right? The people before you, the people, your family lineage or whomever it was, experienced so much more racism, discrimination, separation, othering, that we and our generation probably will never understand, right? I mean, imagine being an immigrant in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s in America, or even in Canada, right? Even earlier, imagine in the 1900s, like early 1900s, being different and looking different from a European immigrant, right? From a European white person. Imagine that feeling, right? And I know these feelings because I know that these experiences have been in my family. And I can't sit here and be all like, oh, well, I don't care about all these things because it doesn't affect me anymore. I'm an American. Yeah, I'm an American. And I'm proud to be an American, but I'm only proud to be American if we love each other, because that's what makes America actually great. You know, immigrants make America great, not division. Loving each other's cultures and appreciating people's beauty and diversity to uplift your own lives. That's what actually makes America better. Not all this shit that's going on, which is, by the way, disgusting. By the way, probably a human rights violation. By the way, karma's gonna get a bitch, okay? And I call to action to the folks who are listening, to or watching, to do something with your voice, with your power, with your social media, with your time and energy and your money, if you have the means, to donate to organizations, to help a neighbor, to give love, give cherishment, give just encouragement to people who might be experiencing something crazy. I don't know. I really wanted to talk about that today, and it was on my mind for a long time. And even though I was making this into this, it really pisses me off series, I always find a way to circumvent and go around in different directions and come right back to the center of it, which is obviously the show, which is Chimey River, right? It's all about being queer, different, brown, Indian, South Asian, all my experiences, all my opinions, it's all in one. I can critique things while I can also enjoy them and joke about them and poke comedic fun at them, right? Because that's life. You have to find the positive in some of these negative things. And I feel like we're really having a hard time doing that nowadays in this world, in this day and age. But let's take a break. Okay, we are back, and I brought myself a little schnick-schnack. Candy corn. I don't know people's opinions about candy corn, but I kind of like it. A lot of people don't like it because they think it tastes like ass. But I like ass, so there you go. But yeah, let's segue from what pisses me off and got me really serious for a second, alongside the fun. But I promised to talk a little bit about the ghouls, the goblins, and the gremlins, or the gay boys. And there was a lot of them. Just for Halloween, there were so many fun costumes of people. But what was really funny this year was there was a lot of clowns. Now, again, I think I said this earlier. No shade to the people who dressed up as clowns. My boyfriend dressed up as a clown. He looked great. Beautiful. Sexy. Wonderful. But there was a lot of clowns this year. And I really wonder, again, person number, 3 in the comments. Were you a clown? And are gay people just clowns? I'm really looking forward to those thoughts. So, person number 3 in the comments, if you are a clown, please tell me if you're a clown. There were a lot of creatures, obviously. I didn't see anybody dressed up as Luscious Massacre. I would have been dead on the fucking floor because I love that drag queen, that drag investigator, that trans investigator. Not trans investigate, sorry. Drag investigate. Whoops, drag investigates. I'm dead. Someone's gonna come cancel me now. I love her. So if you love her as well, you should tag her in this video. I just love all the things that she does. I think she is such a strong person and has such a strong like capacity to bring people queer joy, because I have so much joy watching her old videos, watching her new stuff. I know that she's in WeHo. It would be so cool. Luscious Massacre, if you are watching this video or if you catch this video, you should come and drag investigate the Northgate Mercado in Costa Mesa. And if you do come, you should hit me up on Chimey River, and I would love to accompany the exchange, the view, the drag investigation, because mama, there's a lot of bricks. There's a lot of creatures there. Actually, anything in Costa Mesa. I feel like Costa Mesa is probably like the Brownsville. It's probably like a Brownsville here. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of bricks. There were a lot of bricks though, mama. There was a lot of bricks. You know what was really funny? What was really funny is at one of the parties that we went to, there was this little 4 brigade group of construction workers, or like you would call it, trade. Like the little children say, trade. A lot of tradesmen outfits this year in the Gay Boys, okay? I think they're wanting to feel something about themselves. Maybe they are trade. Or maybe they're not. If you are a trade, person number 7 in the comments, let me know, are you a trade? Because we need to know, the fans need to know, because I do have a lot of dolls who watch my show, which I think is really fun. And I love the fact that they're supportive. But yeah, person number 7 is in the person number 7th in the comments. Drop it if you're trade, okay? Drop that. And there was a lot of those guys. There was a lot of construction workers. So this is the funny part. We're getting on the dance floor, and I see these burly, strong, again, muscular, I'm just getting another shot, muscular construction worker outfits. And the guy's like hairy, more hairy than me. And like, I have a lot of hair. Not that I had to show anyone more of it. Like, I have a lot of hair. You can kind of see it, you know. You can hear it now. Sorry that scratching the microphone. But this guy was like probably a Middle Eastern. He was probably like an Afghani guy. He might have been Armenian. I mean, you know, here in LA, in OC area, there's a lot of Armenian guys. Shout out to the Armenian guys. So if you're Armenian, drop a comment. Drop a flag. Okay? Drop a flag, FAG. Do it now. But he was hairy as shit. And once that Kim Petras song, Boo Bitch, or whatever it was, the scary album, I can't ever remember all the songs on the album. Once that song dropped, this girl was tooting and booting and shaking her hips like she was contorting and like, everybody wanna dance like this, I was hoping that they would play Shakira, because I thought she would fucking shake her ass. Shake her ass. She was getting her life. She was really getting her life. Now that was a creature turned girl. Okay? That was a girl. See, that's the thing, like, these guys, these ghouls, all right, Gremlins, Gay Boys, I think that should be the title of this episode. They are very good at putting on a mask. We know that, right? I mean, the gays really wore the masks during the COVID-19 pandemic. They really set forth the movement to mask up, right? And mask up, vax up. I think that was like the saying on Grindr. That was a saying on a lot of social media, which, you know, again, get your vaccinations, girl. Get your flu shot and get your MPOX shot if you're, you know, shenanigans around on sniffy schnapps. And, you know, stay up to date. But obviously consult your doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I wish I was, but, you know, I'm not. That's also a funny story, because a lot of people don't know that I was actually going to become a doctor. I was. And it's probably one of my most regretful / almost chaotic Indianness stories, right? I mean, my whole life, I am obviously going to switch topics now. My whole life, I actually wanted to be a pediatrician because I just thought helping kids and helping children feel well and healthy was such a good start into health, right? I think that actually really got into my understanding of like what it actually meant to be like healthy and how healthcare should be for all, etc., etc. And I really wanted to be a pediatrician, but then obviously went to undergrad, got my biology degree, and that bitch kicked the shit out of me. So person number 10 in the comments, if you also studied biology, let me know. What did you study? What did people study? Like, what did people who are listening to this podcast, the little fans that I have, what did they study in college? Or what did you study in community college, in trade school, in any sort of program? I'm just curious to learn. So drop it in the comment section. But yeah, OChem kicked my ass. The prerequisites to become a doctor kicked my ass. But the funniest thing is, I work with a lot of medical healthcare professionals because I would consider myself like a healthcare allied professional in the sense that I do public health work. But they're not all that, and I'm actually very happy that I do work in that setting because at the end of the day, I actually see that, yes, those careers are very reputable. They're very, respect worthy because those individuals do put a lot of time in, and there's no shade. I have a bunch of doctor, nurse, PT, OT friends, and colleagues, and I love them dearly. They're amazing people, such smart people, but they're also very overworked, and I think that's the biggest problem is that I now see as a 30-year-old what I potentially would have been in, and I don't think I would have liked that. No, I don't think I would have. No. There's also a lot of loopholes. There's a lot of bureaucratic tape, especially health insurance. That's like the biggest bureaucracy in terms of like figuring out how people can actually get like good access to healthcare. So yeah, that literally was my demise, was that I was going to be a doctor. And now I'm trying to figure out what mask I was actually talking about. This is actually really funny. But that was one of my goals. My biggest ghost, my biggest gremlin is that maybe I didn't become a doctor. And no, my Indianness, that's what it was. I think it's the most chaotic thing because all my life I told all these people in my family, all my friends, that I really wanted to be a doctor. And then college came and I was like, I'm not that smart, right? Even though I am smart, obviously, but like in a different way. I'm just not a good test taker. And that's like the really key point, I think, in medicine and nursing and in general like those healthcare professions, that you have to be really good at taking standardized tests, and you have to be able to psychologically like work with those tests to figure out like what actually is good and versus a good answer versus a bad answer, right? And I don't have that brain capacity. I'm already tired trying to psychologically analyze myself. You're telling me I've got to do it on a test in a booklet? No, thank you. I'll just work in public health and save population health as I can. But yeah, all these girls, these girls who were at the gay bars dressed up like all these masculine phenotypes. And it's funny because these dudes, probably were like, they're probably pretty masculine in general, in their like everyday life, right? But the girl comes out, right? The femininity comes out, the pussy comes out. And if your pussy comes out, person number 69 in the comments, let me know if your pussy comes out. Because once those bops, those pop hits, a little bit of the liquor, a little bit of the other things that we can't talk about on this platform, get ingested and into the systems, the puss comes out, okay? Puss, bagus. Bus, gus, passus, okay? Because all those things all have one thing in common. Gay, okay? Puss is gay, bagus is gay, bussy is gay, everything is gay until proven otherwise. That's my philosophy. Everyone is gay. Everyone is an FAG until proven otherwise. And if you're at a Hollywood event, at a drag show, mama, who are you doing this facade thing for, huh? Why do you need to put a mask on when you're going to an event that is hosted by two FAGs, right? Who is having Miss Trixie Mattel do the DJ set, who's also FAG, who's a drag queen, right? Who are you fooling? Who are you fooling? I want to know. What's the tea, girl? Because you don't even need to do anything. Like, you know that you're going to this event, right? It's like when straight guys, oh my God, it's like when these guys, this is actually what really pisses me off. It's like when you see those street interviewers, and again, it's no shade to some of these street interviewers, but there's some street interviewers that I'm just like, okay, you're asking the same questions. You're just like trying to get an egg on these guys and girls and random people that are, walking by drunk as shit and intoxicated and inebriated at most. And you're just asking them the same questions. Who did you vote for? This, that. What's your sexual position? Blah, blah, blah. And again, in the very beginning, they were very fun. After a while, they kind of get like boring and played out because it honestly makes it seem like those gay spaces, those areas like West Hollywood, LA, maybe parts of OC, San Diego, DC, New York. Although New York is funny, you don't get a lot of those types of weird answers here that you do get in California. But it makes those places actually seem like we're regressing in time, right? Like, even though those are supposed to be progressive things and progressive communities, it almost seems counterproductive to highlight some of these guys and girls and people that are coming in and actually having like discriminatory based politics, discriminatory based preferences, discriminatory based just social policies and social ideologies and socialization practices and strategies of like what they think is appropriate versus what they think is not. Although I get the points, right? I mean, I get the idea that we should probably talk a little bit more about these things so we can bring some light to the fact that, not all progressive areas are actually progressive, right? Just like not all liberal areas are liberal. And this actually really fell into, I was watching a Very Delta, again, one of my favorite podcasts to watch. And she was interviewing Crystal Method. And there was a conversation in this piece, which I actually it stuck with me and really made me think about it for a while, is that a lot of the times these liberal cities are not as liberal as we think they are, right? And Crystal Method essentially was talking in that recent podcast of Delta's, in the episode, that when she tours on these for her shows in different cities and different states, which are often, characterized as red states, right? And these cities that might be more progressive or blue in these red states, they're often really, really liberal because they're very inching towards wanting that piece of progression, that piece of ooh la la, different, right? Difference. And I think that's the funny part because I grew up in big cities my whole life. I grew up in liberal areas my whole life. Grew up and, raised in San Francisco Bay Area. Was born here in SoCal. So for me, and then I went to school in Vancouver, BC. So I lived and really much my whole life lived in big cities and big liberal hot pockets of the country. So for me, I can understand that there are conservativeness people and conservatives in these liberal cities because obviously those people come to the liberal cities because obviously we're liberal and we have such better infrastructure sometimes, right, compared to some of the more conservative smaller towns / red states, and they come here because they have businesses because obviously that's the only thing that they do, conservatives, is just have businesses because they're trying to make money, right? And when they come here, they bring their politics, they bring their opinions, they bring their sentiments, which is fine. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has sentiments. But that doesn't mean that they're always right. Right? I mean, a lot of these Republicans, a lot of these conservatives don't actually have correct opinions. Hence why we're in a government shutdown. Hence why we're, still here, fucking surviving somehow. So I think it was really eye-opening to me just to have a moment to reflect and think that, a lot of the areas that we think are actually liberal actually aren't. It's hidden with this facade that it is a liberal area, And I think that's where we kind of go off in this spiral and try to figure out how do we improve it. And really, I think what really pisses me off is the fact that we have so many negative and narrow-minded people living in these big cities, living in these neighborhoods, living in these areas that are supposed to be progressive, right? And this is really tying back to what I was saying earlier, is that why are you acting like you need to be straight in the community that is supposed to accept you and love you for who you are, right? What facade, what mask for mask mentality, what shenanigan are you playing? You're just acting dumb. Like, you're going to a gay bar. It's like going to a gay bar and acting straight, which I fucking hate. Okay? I hate. You can be masculine presenting. Everybody has their effect, right? I mean, you can put a hat on, which obviously this one doesn't really fit the vibe because it says dance or die, and it's obviously really FAG with Lady Gaga. But you could put a hat on, aka a baseball hat, a basketball hat, something, right? Some sort of hat. And seem masculine because that's what we think masculinity is, right? We think that wearing a sports hat is masculine. But like, heads up, for anyone, I could care less about sports. I played soccer for a very long time in my life. I like playing it. I liked playing it. I mean, I still enjoy it here and there. But I don't like watching sports. I don't know. It doesn't really get me going. The sports that I like to watch are, RuPaul's Drag Race. And that really came from rejecting it so much in my own life as someone who's trying to figure out his sexuality, as someone who's trying to figure out like what gay meant, what bisexual meant, what, queerness actually meant to me. For a long time in my life, I rejected that, right? As many of us do. And I think that is what's really important, is you have to do things and you have to like things that, bring you actual joy, right? For me, the sports don't bring me joy. So if you're really hell-bent on the fact that a hat is going to make you masculine, I think you have some other idea of what masculinity means. Because I really want people to answer this question. What does actually masculinity mean, right? Like, what does it actually look like for a person? So person number 1 in the comments, because y'all bitches haven't answered anything. You haven't dropped a comment, but you're here first watching. What does masculinity mean to you? For me, masculinity, really, like, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, what does it actually mean? Like, I don't know, just to be myself, right? Like, for me, I saw masculinity growing up in such a different way than a lot of people do. And I think this is very representative of maybe how South Asian men, Indian men, maybe specifically Punjabi men actually see masculinity. And I know that in some Punjabi families, it can be super, super toxic, just like it is across the board for so many other families, right? I mean, I heard stories. We had my best friend Tony on the pod a couple episodes ago talk about masculinity, machismo, in Latino Mexican culture. So there's obviously a lot of similarities and differences, across different cultures, because we all share very similar patterns, right? Similar. I had to stretch that out. But for me, I saw it very different. I mean, I saw my parents and my dad enjoy music, culture, dance, all these things, looking nice, dressing up nicely, wearing nice outfits, doing your hair, all that stuff. I saw that actually in my own family. So for me, when I had those mannerisms or when I did stuff, it actually didn't make me question my masculinity. And for me, I don't think coming to my terms with my sexuality was ever about actually questioning my masculinity. It was more about questioning who I actually was and what did that actually mean? Who was Shane in that moment, and what did Shane actually mean to me, right? What did Shane actually mean to my family, to my friends, to my social environments, to the people around? That's actually more of what I question rather than my masculinity. Because again, what is it? What is masculinity? Why do we even care about it so much? And I think that's what really irks me, because I know why people care about it, right? I know that we have such a projection with femphobia in the gay community. I know that we don't like when people act overtly feminine, because from such a long-standing time, people who were feminine were looked at as disgusting. right? And I know that we have those histories in our own communities, even in the Indian community, right? I mean, oftentimes I talk about that, you know, we're very progressive, we're very this or that, but there still is this disdain and this almost aversion to women, right? I mean, a lot of South Asian culture is built up on the idea that men are, you know, it's a patriarch, right? Like this is the man's house, right? Which is also disgusting and stupid. But again, very different in my house, very different in my family. And again, that is why I think it's important to hear people's stories, because you hear people's stories and you think about the fact that, oh wow, that's cool. Like Shane's Indian, Shane's Punjabi, Shane's this, and he had a very different experience. I can acknowledge that difference, and I can also see how some of the things he talks about also are similar in my family. And maybe even though, you know, so and so's mom is batshit crazy, so and so's dad is dimwit, there might be just an inch, a sliver, that there might be some similarity, and that actually might bring out some comfort, right? Bring out some comfort. But yeah, you know, I think for me, I think it's just funny because, like, for the ghouls and the goblins and the gremlins that were popping around this Halloween, the girls just want to dress up. They want the fantasy. They want the fantasy, right? They want to look masculine, but truly inside they're feminine. And it's like, that always, like, irked me, because it's like, you can't do that when everybody around you is an FAG. When everybody around you is going to clock you. When everyone around you knows your truth. So speak on it, girl. Be a girl. Be gay. Dance like the night is young. Yeah. Dance, girl. Dance like the night is young, because that's all we can do right now is find joy in our lives, find queer joy, get community, be together, and share some of our grievances, share some of our distresses, share some of our anxieties, because we all have them. We can't say we live in this world. We can't say that you're navigating the world right now amidst all the shitty things that are happening, and you can say that you have no anxiety. I don't believe you. I don't believe you, because if you say that, that means you're dead. That means you're apathetic person. I was going to say you're an empath. You're not an empath. You're an apathetic person. You don't give a fuck. Nihilistic at best. Okay? Nihilistic. So, let's take a break. And when I come back from the break, we're going to talk about Boots House Down, mama. Okay, mama. We are... Okay, welcome back. We are going to get into one more topic, and then we're going to start two more topics. We're going to get into two more topics. I'm going to give a little reference to a recent show that I have watched, and I think a lot of the FAGs, the gays, have watched it as well. Definitely recommend it. I think it also enlightens and gives you kind of some understanding, and actually for me, it worked almost additive, because I work with that population. So to see all that kind of in like a artistic form, it actually really helped me kind of understand things. But I'm talking about the Boots show, Boots House Down Mama. It's really, I think it was a really interesting show. I'm not sure what other people think, but if people watch the show, let me know if you watch the show. Again, I'm not a plug for the show. If I was, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here with my army clothes in my, you know, singlet. I'd probably be wearing like an army outfit, but yeah, the boots down house down boots. First of all, the fact that it was called Boots is like very fitting, because Boots House Down Boots, like that's just fucking hilarious. But second of all, the show is actually like a real life snapshot of a actual like person, a veteran, right, from the military. And I'm going to search this up because I realized I had their name in my head, but then I didn't memorize it. So the show is actually a memoir, kind of a representation of a memoir called The Pink Marine. And this was by Greg Cope White. Okay, that was the actual like the book that it's kind of based off of. But the story, the premise is essentially that it follows a character, Cameron Cope, who is a closeted gay teenager from Louisiana who goes after his best friend, who follows his best friend. I shouldn't say goes after, but essentially follows his best friend because, again, he is been subject to all this bullying, all this animosity as a young teenager in Louisiana, that he wants to be with his best friend, and his best friend is essentially the only person aside from his mother that knows he's a homosexual or that he's gay. So they join the U.S. Marine Corps, and the book is actually set in the 80s, but the show is technically set in the 90s, so it's kind of like a little bit of a different twist, I feel. But essentially it follows, Cameron Cope, who is essentially Greg Cope White, right? Through his basic training, through his kind of enlistment, through his, process of becoming a Marine. And in the show, I think what's really, really funny is everything is so queer coded. I mean, the military at best, and this is what I'm saying, like obviously working with this population in my own professional career, the military and just like anything that has to do with that is so gay. Like, just hear me out, okay? Think about this. And this actually really makes me like laugh sometimes. You're telling me that men are all gonna join a club. Let's just call it a club. They're all going to go join a club where they got to sleep in the same quarters, either up on top of their bunks, right, in bunk beds, like they're little fucking 4-year-olds, shower together with no dividers, poop together with no dividers, pee, shave, all that stuff, exercise together, cry together, eat food together. You're telling me that that's not gay? You're telling me that you're going to go as a man and do all that in like a camp, in a club, and you're going to say that's not gay. That is so gay. Like, that is so queer coded when you really think about this concept of like the brotherlyhood or whatever they call it. I don't know, right? Again, it's not my cup of tea, even though it is my cup of tea in the sense that that's my work kind of focus. I have a lot of experience with that population. But in the sense that when you look at it from this artistic show lens, right, you're watching it like live in a different way, you kind of pick up on all these little queerness things, right? I mean, also, like how I was just talking about the like peacocking and the cocking, right? It's so evident which one of them is gay because men have this tell, and it is really just about men. I don't think it has anything to do with gayness. Like, I don't think it's a gay man trait, but all men have a peacocking, a cocking type of capacity, meaning that they want to one-up each other, right? They want to put the foot on the table. They want to put their foot on your neck or whatever. I mean, they want to do a lot of things on your neck. But they are trying to show off and be this manly, machismo, big, burly, muscle man. I mean, I think that's the funniest part about it all, is that is a male trait, a man trait, a masculine trait from the tale as old as time, from the fucking get-go, right? Men want to show off and show up. That's why they try to pick the hottest people, the hottest partners, the hottest girls, the hottest cars, the hottest bling, ding, shing, ling, because they want to show other people that they have it all, right? That, oh, this is my masculinity. Look at my chain. Look at my glasses. Look at my fucking arms. Blah, 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 blah. Look at my thighs. Like, all this shit. It's all for the other male, right? It's all for the male gaze. And that's actually what really was funny about this show, is that the show was so cemented on them trying to get validation and them being validated from one another that you could totally see that a lot of them were gay. I mean, also, one of the sergeants essentially is gay, right? I mean, you'll see it the minute they walk in. That they picked that twink off of the street from freaking WeHo, right? You go to WeHo, you'll find that Sergeant Sullivan anywhere. Anywhere. You can go on Instagram right now. You can open your Instagram. You'll see Sergeant Sullivan. You're probably going to see it now because you're listening to it on the pod and you're watching it. And now your algorithm is going to be like, Sergeant Sullivan, Sergeant Sullivan. is going to try to find you a Sergeant Sullivan, because that's how we're in this day and age. Boots house down mama. Sergeant Sullivan was a big FAG. Sergeant Sullivan was probably a big bossy bottom, because in the show he is the boss, right? He is the trainer, basic training, like lead. He's the one grilling, and if they wasn't grilling, they're gonna be grilling before, and if they wasn't grilling, they're gonna be FAGs tomorrow. Like, that's literally what I'm saying, is that if you watch the show, you're gonna see it. Also, I think it is a good representation of this weird dichotomy of like self-hatred and self-love. Like, what parts of yourself do you hate so much that you force yourself to be stronger, faster, better, validated, so that that becomes your self-love, right? It's almost like antagonistic, right? Because you can't really hate yourself that pushes you to have self-love, right? Like you have to be able to let go of that hatred and actually find yourself in having self-love, right? And I think that's where you see these different dichotomies. With Cope, with Cameron, he's clearly gay. Like, you can tell he's gay. He's just shutting it off in the military, because obviously during this time, in which I realized I forgot to fucking even mention, but I thought it might be like, I mean, assumed, right? Or presumed. It was don't ask, don't tell, right? So, well, actually, it wasn't don't ask, don't tell at this time. It was essentially, if you're homosexual or if you're gay, you can't be in the military whatsoever. You will be discharged dishonorably, right? It would technically be like a criminal offense, right? That's what they were trying to show. So he switched it off. But how tiring is that, right? Like, and this kind of like this essence of shutting it off, turning it back on, shutting it off, turning it back on, coming out, being yourself. It really comes back to this whole concept of the ghouls, the goblins, the gremlins, the gays, right? I mean, at the end of at the core of it all, we do that, right? We shut ourselves off, we put ourselves back on. We shut ourselves off, we put ourselves back on, because we have to. I mean, that is unfortunately the world that we live in. Sad that we have to do it sometimes, right? I mean, I personally don't do it. I don't think a majority of people do it, but there is a slim, probably majority, and I say majority because there still is probably maybe 2 or 3% of people that you meet who still do that, right? I mean, if I could see that, and I could see it out and about when we were just at a Halloween party, imagine what people do in their everyday life. You know, if people can do that shit on Grindr, on Sniffies, on the apps, on Tinder, dating at bars, friend circle hangouts, parties at people's places, then imagine what they actually do in their everyday life. You know, when you're not with them, when you're not watching them right next to you, when you're not hovering around them and observing them, imagine what they do in their actual public private life, right? They probably do more of that repression that they actually do, like, you know, expression. So that show, I think it was a good conversation about that. And also, it made you kind of think about your own self-identity, right? Especially during this time and era where potentially being out and proud and loud could be dangerous, right? Maybe, right? A little bit dangerous. But I think that's what's also really fun and interesting about this show, is that it almost parallels with what's going on right now, but it also shows us that history is almost repeating itself, right? History always repeats itself in different ways. I learned that in my 10th grade history class. History is always going to repeat itself in different ways. People don't want to learn because it's human nature to make mistakes and sometimes not learn. Because people didn't have a good upbringing to rectify the mistakes, right? But that's neither here nor there. But essentially in the show, you see a lot of that, like, I'm a gay sergeant and I'm undercover. I see you because you're gay. I can clock it. Because again, we can all clock each other's tea. And I'm going to be so hard on you because I kind of see myself in you. And I want you to succeed like I succeeded. But the real caveat and the real shit kicker is this guy was in love with another officer. And he threw him under the bus. Because he wanted to make sure that he was in this military for himself. But what the fuck? Why would you do... I mean, why really? Why? I also didn't understand the concept. I mean, this is also to my... maybe bias, to my maybe like blinders that I have on. My question is, why would you want to enlist in something where you can't be your authentic self, right? Like where you can't be who you're supposed to be. Why would you want to enlist in something that makes you have to be uniform? Right? Like that was always like this big question for me. Even to this day, even in this world that I live in and the stuff that I do and the work that I do, I've always been very curious about that because I think it's very different for each person, obviously. Everyone's circumstances, right? I mean, a lot of people don't know that people join the military for the most important thing is housing and food, right? I mean, literally, people join the military because they want to have a place to have housing, to be housed, and they want to get food daily, right? They want to have access to showers, pooping, peeing, exercise, a purpose, right? So a lot of it is almost, if you think about it, 20 steps before that is people's actual social conditions. So, i.e. the social determinants of health, i.e. what we were just talking about with SNAP government assistance and infrastructure. If the infrastructure is not there, people are going to seek it in different ways, right? And do things to actually supplement and put some of that infrastructure back in to their lives. And I think that's, my biggest understanding and what I've found in the literature and what I've found from, just people's lived experiences. But I still sometimes wonder, I'm like, okay, but when you're gay, when you're transgender, or anything that's outside of the norm, quote unquote norm, why would you want to put yourself in that? I don't know. I just feel like what entity, what country, what purpose is so much more important than getting to be yourself, right? What entity is so important that you have to shut yourself off for being yourself? That never made sense to me. And I want people to sit with that because that, and I specifically phrased it as entity for a reason, right? What thing, what concept, what person, what thing, place, unit is so important that you have to shut yourself off from being yourself. I never got it. I just, radical ideology maybe, I don't know, but you let me know. I don't think that is radical. I think that is just how we're supposed to be as people, right? Yeah. Okay, well, we've talked a lot about Halloween, I guess. Halloween. Ghouls, goblins, gremlins, the gays. I feel like that has been really the concept, right? What really pisses me off? What if I just talk like that the whole time? But yeah, we've talked a lot. We spoke a lot. And I'm really excited because I obviously wore my costume. I ate some candy corn. And we talked some shit because that's what we do here in Chimey River. And I wore my Dilly cup. I didn't wear it. I mean, if I wore it, it'd probably be here. Probably be a good idea to cover this area up. I realized that it's been on expose. But we talked a lot. And if you enjoy this podcast, if you enjoy my talks, my conversations, my opinions, my sentiments, my yada yada you, subscribe and follow to Chimey River, available on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you basically stream podcasts. You can also follow me on TikTok, Instagram at Chimey River, as well as Punjabi Poppy 21, which is my personal kind of fun, ditzy witsy TikTok account. But really, I'm always so grateful for people listening to the pod, listening to my yip yap, and just hearing me out, because I think I obviously have a lot to say. And you all also share your stories, and I'm really excited to kind of get into some of those stories in the next episode. I did get some messages, some emails from viewers, so I might have a section or a segment of the show where I give my 2 cents on, what people are going through, what people are curious about. So, with that said, as always, grab your chai, grab a water, and I realize I don't even have that much left. And until next time, we'll get into it. Take care.